my God.
Oh, we like. See, I don't know. Well, hello there. We're trying to connect with so many platforms. We're trying to connect with Instagram, still checking. Okay, as you know, my name is Carmen Maria Montiel, and I'm here with Kevin.
Kevin Witt. Hi, everybody.
Okay, as I told you the other day, I told you in Facebook, and I also said in Instagram, but my Instagram is not going, that I was going to interview Kevin. If you have seen, I have shared posts of Kevin intervening in school boards meetings, talking about school curriculum, talking about stopping all this brainwashing of the children in school. But I'm going to tell you who Kevin is. So Kevin is a former transgender drag queen, and I said former is the key word because he no longer is. So tonight's conversation, we're gonna make it very relaxed. We're talking in our living room, and we're gonna ask Kevin all those little details and questions. And I'm sorry we might get into details, but what Kevin has to say is very important. Very, very important. So, okay, we're like, Kevin, my first question, like we were talking yesterday, and we have known each other how long, Kevin? Over a year.
Yeah, over a year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We met in Lauderdale when we were supporting the women that got arrested because they were working. Who would have ever thought that this would happen in the United States? And that's how we met, because you used to work at Kelly Luther place?
Shelley Luther.
Shelley Luther. If you remember, Shelley Luther got arrested because she opened her salon, and you used to work there.
Yes, I did.
And you were there supporting Shelley. Shelley went to support the women, and he was there, and that's how we met, and and Kevin told me his story. His story is he was gay, he used to be a drag queen, but he's not anymore, and now he's a conservative activist. So, Kevin, when did you know you were gay?
I started having the same-sex attractions whenever I was very young. Whenever I was very young, I was very feminine. I always chose the female things, like I would rather play with a Barbie doll than a G.I. Joe.
Okay.
And so, and that was, so, but for me, I thought in my mind that I was supposed to like men, because I really thought, I knew I was a guy, I knew I was a little boy, but then I thought, well, I'm supposed to be a girl, so this is natural. Like, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
How old were you? When you say very young, you were talking about Barbie. You were talking about G.I. Joe. So, how old were you? Less than 10?
So yes, I have been extremely feminine my entire life, and so, but
you turned IB since wherever you remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, we would go out in public, and people would tell my mom, "Oh, your daughter is so pretty," and she'd be like, "Oh, that's my son." And when I started getting a little bit older and I realized it, it made me so mad, because I wanted nothing more, because I knew I was a guy. So I wanted nothing more than to be a normal heterosexual man. And this was like...
Keep on talking, because I'm going to try to see if I can connect an instrument. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And so this was from a very young age. I always, since I whenever I like realized that men should not like men and things like this, because I got of age to have my first sexual attraction, I was like, oh my God. And my family, mind you, I grew up in the South. My family was very Christian, Southern, well, not Southern Baptist, but missionary Baptist. And so it was not okay to be gay or anything. And back then, transsexual was not even anything.
That
was like,
because let's see, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Okay, so that was not a thing.
Yeah, it was like,
yes,
didn't even cross my mind.
Okay.
And so, and really the reason I came out of the closet and, said I was homosexual was because I wanted to dress like a girl. So I wanted to dress in drag.
And how old were you at that time?
At 15.
You were 15 years old.
Okay. And so I knew that if I wanted to dress in drag, if I was a heterosexual male, that would be like, heterosexual males do not wear women's clothes. So I came out of the closet and said I was gay, said I was bi first. My mom didn't really think anything about it. She was like, okay. A little bit later, a few weeks later, I was like, I'm actually gay. And she was like, okay. I said I was bi because I felt like at least there will be still some normalcy to it.
Okay.
Because, at least I still like girls. But then.
So you still like girls?
Okay. I really didn't.
But you just said you still.
No.
So you thought.
Whenever I said I was bi, so that my family would not be like, oh, that's, no.
Okay.
Because my whole response would be, at least I still like girls and boys.
Okay. So you were not totally to certain about I'm completely homosexual. So I'm like, I like.
That's when I first came out.
Okay.
A few weeks later, I came out and said, hey, I'm gay. And my mom, being the loving mother that she is, said, okay. And she didn't think anything else about it. Now, she was raised in church. She was raised Christian. But she was going to love her kids unconditionally.
Yeah, no matter what. A mother is a mother.
Yeah. And
we love our children no matter what.
And so whenever I first came out, the first time I ever dressed as a girl was for Halloween. And I dressed as a French maid. And I went to this club that I could get in. I got in with a fake ID. And
so you were 15 and you got to a club. So you were supposed to be what, 21? And you got
18.
18. With a fake ID. Don't tell anybody.
Well, and also I'm from the Valley, which is here from Brownsville, an hour south of here. And
because
so
we're in McAllen right now. Well, Edinburgh, which is right next to it. We were today. Trump came here, and this is important also because today is the last day of, this whole movement of Pride, and that's why I think it's important to have this conversation with people, especially in this month.
Yes.
Okay, so you're here from the Valley. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So yeah, I was raised in the Valley in Brownsville, and so now we have to understand back in that time in the 90s. It was very normal for teenagers to go across the bridge in Mexico, because it's right across the bridge from Matamoros, and go to the club. You pay $5 all you can drink to get in.
Okay.
So it's $5 all you can drink. And if you could reach the bar, you could drink in Mexico. No age. Yeah.
In Mexico, well, legally you can start drinking at 18, but nobody asks if you're less than 18.
I've never heard.
In Latin America, that's the way it is. And in Europe, it's more flexible with the drinking.
But this time, whenever I went as a French maid, I went to Harlingen, which is just north of just north of Brownsville.
Okay.
And so in Harlingen was America. But a lot of teenagers hung out there because you could get in at 18. So I was 15. So yeah. It was no big deal. And so then I go to the club, and mind you, me in high school, I never had any friends. When in
Okay.
elementary and all that stuff, I never really had friends because I was different. I was very feminine. So most people made fun of me. They didn't. They definitely did not befriend me. And, they called me
That's
Hulko and all
hard.
that stuff. And so
That's very hard. I'm sorry.
whenever I went to high school, I was like, okay, I'm going to have some friends. And so there was these group of kids that were like the outcast, and I was an outcast, and they were the gothic punk rock kids. And so all of my friends that were were from that scene or whatever.
The Gothic. So
Yes.
you were dressing Gothic
Yes.
at the time.
At the time, yes.
Okay.
Because whenever I went into that whole gothic punk rock scene, I suddenly developed all these friends. And surprisingly, all these friends were gay. And so I was like, oh my God, I have a community that accepts me. I have friends for the first time. And whenever I went to that club as a French maid, all of these people were there, but I had just got to know them. And everybody, when I walked in, they were like, oh my God, who is that? And then I was like, it's me. And they're like, you are so beautiful and everything.
So you felt accepted.
Yes, I felt
especially
accepted.
in that time when you are an adolescent, we are all looking for acceptance.
Yes.
Okay.
And so finally, for one time in my life, I felt accepted. I had friends. And not only was I accepted, but these friends thought I was beautiful. They thought, wow, this person is beautiful.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. And from there, things progressed a little bit further and a little bit further. And I progressed further into that lifestyle.
Okay.
And so that was at 15. So about 15, 16. Then from there, I was gothic. So I would go to the high school with like long velvet skirts on, Doc Martens, and fish shirt. I had black hair to my shoulders. I would wear black lipstick and like white foundation.
So you were like dressing like a girl, but because it was gothic.
Yes.
Nobody thought that you were dressed as a girl. Because now we're talking, this is what, the 90s?
The 90s.
Which still, this whole thing was not accepted
But,
in fashion.
Yes, I knew I would not be accepted if I went to school as just a regular female. But if I was gothic and went to school dressed in women's clothing, that was accepted because I was gothic.
Except.
And so gothic guys could dress as girls because it was all about being gothic and different and blah, blah, blah. And so that's what I did. And so I continued to do that. And it just got further and further into the lifestyle. Now, and I'm leaving a lot of pieces out of the story for the sake of time, because if I told every detail of the story, we would be here all night. Which that's why I'm writing a book.
Please do it. Because your testimony is very important.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And when we get to there, because you turned your life around, and we're gonna get there completely.
Yes. And I will back up just a little bit and just tell it, not go into detail, but tell. So when I was, when I was about 12, I was molested. And then my very first best friend that I met, which was about 14, raped me. And so, but, and so when people say like, well, when did you have sex the first time or whatever? Well, are you talking about when did I have sex on my own willingly? Or when
you were
abused? Yeah. And so, because after that, I was a virgin until I was 21 years old. Did not have sex. I was scared of sex. I was scared of STDs. I was scared I would contract an STD. And so I just didn't have sex. I was all about partying and hanging out and having fun. And so,
So do you agree when you say this, that a lot of the, even though you said since you were little, you like to play with the dolls,
Mhm.
but at the same time, do you agree that a lot of these problem with homosexuality have some relationship with abuse, with being abused, with being raped?
I do, and I will get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, like I was saying, so that was just like a little bit backstory so that you could really understand that, like, how broken I was at this point. So I had been molested by my father. I had been raped by the first best friend I ever had, and I was always bullied in school. So I had people at school telling me that I was a faggot and things. I mean, from the first grade, that's when I started getting called a faggot, in the first grade.
In the first grade. And,
Yes,
and that
and
means
it
you were
lasted-
what, 5 years old? 5, 6
First
years
grade,
old?
about 6.
Yes, 5 to 6 years old. Yeah.
And that lasted all
Well, you're
my
not.
life.
Yes.
And then eventually, like, it got to the point where, like, people would throw fruit at me from the cafeteria. People would, like, mess with my locker, and, like, people would trip me when I walked by. Every time this was something that traumatized me. Every time it was the first day of class, and they called roll, and I've always had a feminine voice, and they would say my name, Kevin Witt, and I would say here, and the whole class started laughing because I have a feminine voice. So they were like, look at that faggot. So,
which, in the Latin world, we have something that said when we call a man feminado, it means that he's kind of female-like, girly-like, but that doesn't mean he's gay. It's just very soft, very elegant, have a different voice. And I remember growing up and knowing people that say, oh, they're afeminados, but that doesn't mean that man was gay. But I understand them, they were picking on you.
yeah. And so you have to understand that those words, there used to be a saying back in the 90s, maybe they still use it, the kids, I'm not sure. But those words, like the saying was, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And that's a lie, because words hurt probably worse.
They hurt worse
because those bruises and beatings, whatever, will be healed. But those words are going to last for the rest of your life, and it's something that you will always remember.
People don't understand how emotional and psychological abuse affects a person.
And so, came out of the closet, started dressing in drag from a young age, started going to high school in drag, but I was gothic. Then
So you were not dressing like a you were just gothic.
Yeah. Then I eventually dropped out of high school because a lot of those gothic people, those my friends, a lot of them like either dropped out or had graduated. So I would have been left in my school with like pretty much nobody. And I was like, okay, I'm not staying here with nobody. And so, because I was tired of being tormented, to me, going to school was like going to hell every day. And so, so I dropped out of school and got my GED like that same year. I dropped out. And from there, I went to this, it's a government-funded program for underprivileged youth who some people were court-ordered to go there, some people were not, they chose to go there. So one night my dad was listening in on the phone, because back then we had landlines, and you could pick up the landline.
We didn't have cell phones.
You could pick up the landline and you could hear, like, who is this person talking to? And if you pushed mute, they would not hear you. And so me and my best friend were on the phone one night, and we were talking about this guy. And my dad came in my room and beat the hell out of me from head to toe.
Oh, so he took the phone in another place and heard the whole conversation.
In him and my mom's room.
Oh.
And he heard me on the other phone, on the other line. The same line, but in another room. And so he beat the hell out of me. And then, so I pushed the garage door opener and I left. And I went to one of my mom's friends. And from there, I went to this government-funded program.
Okay.
And I lived there, and that was when I really, because I was like, okay, I was out of my family's house. I was gone. I was on my own, and I could really be myself. So I go to this program, and so, mind you, the boys are separated from the girls, and the girls, so they have it's a live-in program, and the guys have their dorm, and the girls have their dorm. And it's like being a little bit in the military. Well, my first night there, one guy, because obviously they put me with the boys, this guy walked down the bay, which was like the hallway, and I just looked like that because I was watching TV and he walked by, so I looked like that. I was glancing, and he thought I was looking at him because he had been in the shower and he had a towel on. And so that night, when they turned the lights off,
on the first night,
okay, they turned the lights off, and him and several other guys put their locks in socks, and whenever I was asleep, they beat the hell out of me.
I'm so sorry.
With their locks in a sock.
Oh.
And so then like this whole drama happened. Some of them got kicked out. So shortly after that, I was like, okay, I'm done with this program. But if you went there and you signed up, you could not leave.
No, you have to stay until they say so.
Yeah, you could not leave.
Okay.
Just, I'm over it now. I want to leave. Can't do that. So me and a lesbian girl and her girlfriend, we decided we're leaving. So they would take you on trips in town. And you get on a bus and they would take you. So we took the bus into town and we left. And we ran away from that program. And we lived on the streets in Austin, and we panhandled for money. We literally slept on park benches.
When homelessness was not a big thing still back then in Austin, or was it?
No, homelessness was not big in Austin, but there were a lot of street kids, is what we called them. Okay. There was a lot of homeless youth.
Okay.
And so because this is back in the 90s, and most of those homeless youth were gay or they was on drugs and things like that because their parents disowned them, so they just ran away. So we lived there and we panhandled for money. We would people would walk by and give us food. We would sleep in park benches. This was back in the rave days, so we would get creative of where we're going to sleep tonight. So we would panhandle, get enough money to get into a rave. Raves lasted for sometimes 24 hours.
Now, let me ask you, what's that rave? I don't know.
Oh, a rave is a huge party that they used to have where they played techno music, and a lot of people just do drugs, and they're all about like neon lights and neon clothes and dancing and doing drugs and partying, and they do it 24 hours sometimes.
So it's not doing any of that in the night.
No.
So that's what I don't know.
Well, okay. I did. And so I would go into these raves because they were open all night.
Okay.
And they usually had sofas, whatever. So we would go in there and we would sleep.
Oh, okay.
And so, and we did that several times. Sometimes we would raise enough money to get a hotel room, and we would sleep in a hotel. We did this for 2 or 3 months. We were like, okay, I'm over it. And so, and mind you, the whole doing all that in the Texas heat in Austin, Texas, I was dressed like a girl. And so I had high heels
this was not a big, well, no, let me tell you, because, I'm from Venezuela, and I came to United States in 88, but I remember still in the 80s, we used to drive by a street, it's called Avenida Libertador, where men were dressed as a women, walking down the street as prostitutes. Exactly. And for us was fun. Let's drive by Avenida Libertador. And so this was in the 80s, and in the 90s, well, still was, but there was not this concept of transgender.
No, and those were transvestites.
Exactly.
So they did not have hormones and surgeries.
Exactly. And then it came the drag queens.
Yeah.
Remember, and there's all the big thing with the drag, with RuPaul and all of that.
And we had that in Brownsville too.
Okay.
Elizabeth Street. And the Transvestites would go and walk the streets and prostitute. But so it was not normal back then. But I was living on the streets. We were in high heels, skin tight pants, girl clothes, makeup, and you can only imagine what I would look like because it was hot. And I mean, hot.
The makeup probably was dripping down your face.
Oh my gosh, I was sunburned. I mean, yes. So eventually we went back to that facility, that live-in facility. And
the one you escaped from.
Yes. And
Okay.
we were like, you know what? We're going to just be ourselves here. And we started having gay pride parades. Because that facility was like a town.
Okay.
It was an old Air Force base. And it was like a town. So we would have like gay pride parades. We would use our sheets from our dorms and write gay pride on it and all this stuff and go marching down because it was mainly straight people and we wanted to make a statement. A lot of us that were transgender, we would dress as girls every day. And it finally, the director over that facility finally said, y'all have to wash your face and all this stuff. And we were like, no, we're not going to, we were like protesting. I'm not taking the makeup off. And so whatever. So we were making them accept us. That time was probably the beginning of the radical LGBT activist.
Well, but at that time it was only LGBT.
It was LG. It was
LGBT. The T was not added at the time.
Ever since
Because
I've
it was
been
gay and lesbian and bisexual. At that time it was only 3. The 3 for transgender didn't come around until much later. In the 90s it was 3 letters.
ever since I've been the T's always been there since I've
What
been
did it
there.
stand for?
It standard for trans. It standard for Transvestites.
Oh, okay. Probably you're right. It was for transvestite, but it was not for transgender.
No.
Okay.
They changed the name about 100 times.
Well, and now it's a whole line
Yeah.
of letters that I
Yeah.
said it. I tried to connect with Instagram and I couldn't, but I did a podcast in my Instagram the other day when I put all the letters because I said it's the LGBTQ whatever, and people thought that I was insulting them. And so I came back another day and I said, no, I'm not insulting you. What happened is I told them all the letters that it is, and I said, and probably you all don't know really how many letters are there and what they stand for.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And so, yes, back in the day.
So see, I'm going to try again to connect here.
Okay. Is your phone connected to the internet? Yeah.
It's connected to the internet, but it's not going live in Instagram. Probably I'm punished. They punish me regularly.
Uh-oh, you
On Instagram.
you broke a rule.
Well, see,
Are you
it's not
live
going-
yet? No?
No, it's not going live.
So
So okay.
I was watching and I was sharing, and the camera was like really off. So we fixed it for you guys. That's what we were doing. We were like moving things around.
Oh, okay, but that was not. This is not working. The Instagram. Okay, so continue. You were back to the institution.
Went back, started this whole whatever. Yeah. So then I left there finally, and I just went off and lived my life. Still was a virgin, even
after all of this.
Yes.
This is still. You have the rape, and nothing happened.
Mhm.
Still okay.
And despite the fact that men, because I was dressing like a girl, but I was in the dormitory with the men. So we had roommates. There was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my room. And so the guys were it was kind of funny because the guys were very respectful. They thought in their minds, I guess, as teenage boys, that I was a girl. And so they got their lockers and they put 2 lockers here, 2 lockers here, and their bunk beds on each side so that they could give me, because I was a girl, my own space. So I could do my makeup and hair and blah, blah, blah. So they really
so you have the whole setup. How nice.
yeah. And these guys would give me cigarettes were a big thing. They were really expensive in there. They would give me cigarettes and stuff like that. And so they would give me alcohol. They would smuggle alcohol in and give me alcohol, whatever. And so they really, my roommates really kind of respected me. However, one night my roommate did come over and he was like, came to my side of the room and he was like trying to have sex with me. And I was like, no, I won't do that. And
Was he gay?
Well, no, not in his mind.
Not in his mind.
He was actually in a gang and he was court ordered to be there because he was a gangster that was like gangbanging and got busted.
Okay.
As a teenager. So, and that's what most of the kids in that facility were, gang members. And so, and then there was like us. And so then I left there, when I moved to Dallas, started doing drag in nightclubs as, you know, professionally. That led to, I was like, one day I couldn't pay my rent. And I had been seeing these adult magazines.
Okay.
And I was like looking through the adult magazines, and at the back of them was like all of these ads for all these ads for like escorts. And
okay.
It was female ads, and you know, it said like in call, out call, and then the price and all this stuff, and they had pictures, and I was because back then I was very arrogant. Because mind you, a lot of people always told me I was so pretty. And so I saw these ads and I'm like...
because you have to see it. I'm going to send me the pictures. I'm going to post it in Facebook.
Yes.
You have to see the pictures. It's really
and so these,
beautiful.
And so these, I had my, you know, I had people always telling me I was pretty and all this stuff. And then, so then... I was looking through the magazine. I'm sorry, they're distracting me. I was looking through the magazine. I saw all these pictures of these girls, and then I saw hiring ads.
Hiring, okay.
For sex workers, but the hiring ad said hiring female lingerie models.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm a female. I'm a lingerie, and I look better than half those girls, so yeah. So I called the number, was like, are y'all hiring? And they're like, yeah. Which, on the phone, I sound like a female anyway. So I didn't tell them I was trans. Because I'm a girl.
You showed up.
I showed up.
And what happened?
They interviewed me. It was, this time was 2 girls. And they had their own little, it was a lingerie modeling studio.
Okay.
Because, you know, prostitution in Texas is not legal.
Oh, so that's what it was. It was really not modeling.
No. I didn't know that.
Oh, and you didn't know. No. You showed up. You thought
I thought
that
I was going to
really
be wearing like lingerie, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but I was like,
okay.
However much money they're making, I knew it was in the adult industry though. So I didn't know, but I was kind of suspect. I was kind of like, this is probably adult work. Thought it was probably like photo shoots or something like that. And then I met these 2 girls, and they were real females, and they were like, oh my God, you are so pretty. And I was like, well, I'm a transsexual. And they're like, that is okay. You are taboo, and you can make so much money. So these girls started teaching me. They taught me how prostitution works. Because they had that studio in Dallas, but they both also worked in the Bunny Ranch in Nevada.
Okay, what's the Bunny Ranch?
The Bunny Ranch is a brothel, a legal brothel. It is a legal whorehouse.
Illegal?
Yeah.
How come it's legal?
It's legal in Las Vegas, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so, and it's like all these girls go there. It's a really nice facility. They stay there. You can live there for like months, and they have sex with men. And so they make a lot of money because that's like a brothel. That's the only thing that man goes there for. And so you go there and work, and these girls work there. They would go out there and make like $10,000 in a week, and then they would come back home and be with. And I found out that they had husbands and kids and everything.
They have husbands and kids.
Oh, yes.
They're there to work for a period of time. Usually they used to go for how long?
Sometimes a week, sometimes a month, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks. But these girls,
and left the husband with the kids.
yeah, the husbands knew what they did.
Oh, and they knew. I bet they have to know.
Yeah, they were okay with it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm. Now, when they would go home, it was like they had been at work, so they would go home and be a normal girl, like taking their kids to school, dropping them off in the school line, going shopping.
Like we're on a working trip.
Yeah. And so, so these girls though owned a illegal brothel in Dallas. So we have a street in Dallas where
So they work in the legal one in Nevada, and then they have the illegal one in Dallas.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're getting off. You're like, wait, hold on.
Because I'm in shock. I thought we were gonna talk here. How you and then how you
Well, I'm
form your
telling my
life,
story.
which we're gonna
Y'all-
tell. We're gonna get there.
Y'all
But-
have to share everything, so I'm sharing
Exactly,
everything.
we're sharing everything. But now you're telling things that I never imagined happened
Oh,
here
well,
in Texas.
oh yeah,
Okay.
yes. And so maybe I'm oversharing. So yes, so I go to work there. I'm just letting you know how I got into the adult industry.
Okay.
That's the whole reason
Oh,
for
they
sharing.
started. No. It's good because.
And so,
okay.
and how
I didn't know there were women that have kids and husbands and went to work to these things from here.
Okay, I need to educate you. Most prostitutes are very normal, and you would never know they're a prostitute unless you saw them in their pictures or in anything. Like they take all the glamorous off and go home, and they're a normal female, usually. Sometimes they are addicted to drugs and things like that. But I would not say that that's the norm. At least
Don't they have to be addicted to drugs in order to do this job?
some do. And most
Because I
do.
imagine it's something
or
that they
most-
do willingly or with pleasure. I don't know. I always imagine.
No,
they
I
have
know
to be
girls who
addicted.
do it willingly with pleasure and they love their job and they will never leave it. There are some people like that. Not many are
the
like
only
that.
reason why we're talking about this also is because we have a big problem in Texas with human trafficking, with sex trafficking, and this is all related.
Yes.
Also, all related. Okay.
But anyway, so I got into the sex industry. I was taught, and this is an important part of my story because in Dallas, we've always had transsexual escorts who, and those post online, and you can call them whatever. We used to have an area in Dallas where transsexuals walked the streets, and that was like the back streets of the gay neighborhood.
Okay.
But I am the first transsexual who ever worked on the normal with straight girls in the straight girl circuit in their world. I
And
never
they're illegal, bro.
I never did work with transsexuals. I worked with one transsexual. We did a 2-girl photo shoot. Most of my time in prostitution was with real females always, and I did it smart because I was the taboo one.
Okay.
So
And especially this was a time that, none of these things.
I made more money than they did.
Okay. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Well, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to let you know.
No, we need to learn about this. So yes, so that's how you started into the prostitution.
These girls taught me because in prostitution, it's a game. You got to learn the game or you're going to get eat up and chewed and spit out, and your life will be completely destroyed if you don't learn the game and you don't learn how to hustle the right way. That's what these girls taught me.
Okay.
And so one night, whenever I first had they advertised me as a real female in the beginning. I had my first client there at their new modeling studio. And what it was, the way that it operated was there would be a room and the girl would go into the room and they would do a live show. It would be a nude show. They had a license. You can have a license in Texas to be nude. It's called a sexually oriented business license.
With which year is this? Because I remember when there was the license and because I'm a journalist and I was in the news,
year
and they have to
2000.
cover 2000. They have to put like something on top of it, so there was like no direct touch to
But
it. I remember those.
still to this day, you can have a sexually oriented business license. There are some strip clubs that are all nude strip clubs.
Okay.
And it's because they have an SOB license. So we had an SOB license, so we
Okay.
could be nude. Anyway, now there's more abuse coming. So when I had my first client, he found out that I was a man. And he was trying to beat me up. And these girls, this is kind of how ruthless they are, and the mindset of girls that are in the sex industry. Because they don't play. They're sweet and love you, but they will also cut you. So these girls, whenever he was trying to attack me, they tased him multiple times, threw him out the door, locked the door, called the cops, and said, we just had it because we had it was a legal business. We did.
No, did you tell me that one was illegal?
No, it was a legal. It was a legal business to have we had a SOB license. What we were supposed to legally do was do lingerie modeling, and you can do that.
But when it was illegal was.
But whenever you start having sex with people,
that was the illegal part.
That's the illegal part.
Okay.
So that's obvious. That's how we got a license to have a business and everything. And so you just say you're going to do this, and you do extra, and that's really what you tell the client. Like,
but isn't it like what happens in all these places? They like the men's club and all these other places. They say they're doing this, but they're like there are rooms in the back. I don't know. Here is my recreational, brain.
Well, this is the thing. It's illegal to be a prostitute in the state of Texas.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
But it's not illegal to be an escort.
What's the difference? It's
legal to charge money to go on a date.
Really?
That's legal.
That's legal. See, I'm learning something today. I
It
didn't
is
know.
illegal when you have sex on that date.
Oh.
That's why whenever the cops try to bust you, they are trying to they are mic'd, and they want you to agree to having sex with them for money.
Oh.
And that's why they ask you multiple questions. So you don't even say a word, and then I'm like, okay, he's a cop. He went out. You got to go. Anyway, not trying to give you an education on prostitution. That's not the point of this.
No, but I imagine I don't know any of this.
So
at my age, I don't know any of these things. I mean,
so then from there, I got a pimp, whatever. And then from there, got rid of the pimp, finally went to another nude modeling studio. And it was this man in Dallas who was like, he was like the Ron Jeremy of Dallas, which Ron Jeremy is a porn producer and porn star. And he's in the porn industry. He's very famous and he's disgusting. But this man was like the Ron Jeremy. And he actually had a
Who is the Ron Jeremy?
I just told you. He's a porn producer and porn star that is very well known. He's famous in the porn world.
But this guy was like him.
He was
but not
like him,
Okay.
the Dallas version of him.
The Texan. Okay.
Yes. And he had a porn production company, but he also owned a modeling studio.
Okay.
So I went and interviewed with him. They hired me. And that's where I worked for a long time. And I was still the same, the only transsexual, but we advertised myself as a transsexual.
So now it was like advanced. Now you guys were telling the truth. It was not like
yes,
okay.
And
so
I made more money telling the truth. And so we had to do lineups. So this is let me let you know how disgusting the sex working industry is. So the man would walk down this hallway. He would come to this waiting area. We would have a camera that showed, there's a man out there. We would be in the dressing room in our lingerie, and there would be, there's a client. So we would all go out there, It's disgusting, but we always go out there, stand, all sexy, turn, and all this stuff so we could check out which is the best one. And, oh, I want that one. And so then you would go back with him and you would do whatever he wanted you to do.
That's like that movie Taken.
I've never heard of that movie, but sure.
Oh, yeah, they took the girls and they were just like, it's, showing them to the clients like that, and they were choosing the girls. It's
kind of like picking cattle.
Yeah.
But they're actually humans. And so
So the important thing about this is, like, people have seen the movie Taken, and here you're talking, and you never seen the movie.
Never seen
and
the
you're
movie.
telling this story, and it's just the same thing. So people need to know that what we see in movies is based on reality.
Yes.
That these things happen.
Yes. And I was not in the porn industry or the porn. Keep saying porn. I only did porn photo shoots. I never did a porn movie, but I was in the sex work industry anyway. So I was not in there for a year or anything. I was in there for 7 years consecutively. That was my only job. I was a full-time sex worker. And then I became a hairstylist. And then from there, this is the thing about doing sex work. When you do sex work, you've already degraded yourself. And so you always, if you are ever broke, all you got to do is put an ad up on the internet, and you're going to make $1,000, $2,000 in a night. And then, I've taken care of my bills. And you will always, how long was I a prostitute for? From the year 2000 until 7 years ago. However, that was like 2015. So for 15 years.
Full year.
Yeah. And so now the thing about doing sex, and the reason I explained how they make you do a lineup and all that is to show you how much they degrade you. You don't know what it's like to go up there, stand in a line with all these girls, and then he chooses you. And
but it happened to girls and to men like you, Thomas.
I was never. They didn't consider me to be a man.
They consider you another girl.
Another girl.
Okay.
I was a fetish for them. So these men are perverts. This is another reason why I'm sharing this. These men are perverted. Because
we have to say the reality that this exists, because obviously there is the market for that. And where's the market? What you're saying. The perverts.
I made more money than any of the girls did. And the girls they would actually say, there was like a joke in our studio, I guess we're going to have to grow a penis to make money around here.
Oh my, don't say that word here.
Penis? I think that penis is the
we have the audience in the back.
In case anybody's watching, penis is the scientific term for a male's genital, so that's not a bad word. I mean, doctors use it all the time. So I did not say a cuss word. I just said penis.
It's okay.
We're talking about sex in the sex industry, so you better be glad penis is the only word I've said.
Yeah. Well, so what happened 7 years ago? Because that's, because I want to say that, and then I want to talk about what you said the other day, how this happened, how it doesn't have to necessarily be the abuse of somebody, how is the negligence of a father, the absentee of a father. So what happened 7 years ago that you turned your life around?
Okay, so to speed all of it up and to cut all of it off, I was extremely traumatized. You can only imagine. I was, first of all, molested. I was raped. I was bullied all throughout high school, all throughout my teen years, everything. So I was ridiculed and made fun of. I became a prostitute because I never felt like I had a self-worth. I was not worth anything except to be pretty, to be attractive, to get paid for money, because I was not worth anything. No one loved me in my mind. No one cared about me. The only reason for me to exist was because I was pretty. And therefore, whenever I got paid for sex, it was because I was finally, for once, validated. For once in my life, I was considered pretty, beautiful. Men paid me. They paid for me to be pretty. In fact, whenever people say, "What do you do for a living?" I would always say,
I'm pretty.
"I'm be beautiful," and they would say, "Well, what does that mean?" I get paid to be pretty, and so because that's the only thing I thought I was worth was beauty and my looks.
And look at you now. You know, you
Now
do so many great things.
Let me finish talking because this is important. Because if you want to know why people are homosexual, why people are transsexual, then you got to know their backstories. My story is not just a random story, and it's like, oh, most people are not that way. That is not for transsexual people. Most of them go into the sex industry for the same reasons. They want a void to be filled. And so whenever you go into the sex industry, you get paid, and then you get to be with a man. And he's fulfilling that void that's empty in your heart, where you want to be accepted and desired, and you want somebody to want you. You've already gotten it all and got your rent paid. So why not? I would always say, I'm going to have sex anyways, might as well get paid for it. And I did not ever have sex for free. Never. Having sex for free was stupid in my book. And so so you can only imagine how traumatized my life was. And then I moved to Florida. I had 6 friends die in 1 year. They were checking out like it was Motel 6. I mean, just checking out left and right. Some people died from AIDS. Some people died from drug overdoses. Some died from suicide. And I said,
it's a very lonely life.
Yeah.
Imagine all the suicide.
And I said, you know what? Am I next? Is this where my life is headed? I'm tired of going to funerals. I'm tired of going to memorial services and releasing balloons for people that are probably, I mean, I can't judge, but they may have went to hell because of the life they lived, and they didn't even know why. Most of them didn't even know the fact that God loves them. And so I moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Why did I move to Florida? I was trying to run from my problems. And in Florida, I was like, I got to get out of Dallas. I moved to Florida. I just picked a spot on the map.
Where in Florida?
Fort Lauderdale. I wanted to be by the beach. Beautiful. And I did not want to go to Miami because it was too expensive and too much crime. So I said, I'll go to Fort Lauderdale.
And a perfect place to continue the life you were having in Dallas, on top of it.
And so I did. And again, let me tell you, I only thought Dallas was a crazy life. I went to Fort Lauderdale. Here I am, a transsexual prostitute. And I'm like, what? This place was perverted. And I won't go into the perversion, but it was that place. They ain't never seen Jesus, and you can tell by the way they act. So, but before I went to Dallas, I used to know this lady. She was a Christian. I mean, to Fort Lauderdale, and she said she wanted to take me out to go have drinks one night. I said, sure, free drinks, I'm there. And she said, whenever I think when you go to Florida, you're gonna have an encounter with God, and it's gonna change your life. And I was like, this woman is crazy. She does not know what she's talking about. But
you were like, me? No.
Yeah. Please buy me another drink. Thanks. So go to Florida. As soon as I get there, start getting booked for drag shows. Finally got my own drag show in a nightclub. Then I also worked in a male strip club as the dance manager. And in gay strip clubs, there's always drag queens it's like mostly men that perform strip, but then they sometimes will have a drag queen for just because in the gay culture, it's fun. Drag shows are fun. So everyone wants to see a drag queen. So I work there as a dance manager. I do 2 numbers a night. And then I tell the guys what stages to rotate to and all this. One night, I went to the bar to get a drink. And one of my friends, who was a stripper there, came up to the bar and got a drink with me. He was wearing a thong. I was drunk as I could be. And he said, Dominique, that was my name back then, do you want to go to church with me? And I was like, "What? This is just drunk talk. Like,
You really thought you were not going to church?
well, why would a
You
gay
going to church?
stripper invite me to church?" So, like, I was like, this dude's crazy. He's drunk. But I didn't have a car. So I mainly took taxis. We had taxis back then. Took taxis around. And
So what time is this? Like 3, 4? Because Miami goes all night. You're in Florida. So he's telling you to go to church like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
it might have been around there. Yeah, I don't know the actual time. But I know that we were drunk. So who knows?
It was late. Yeah.
But it was on a Saturday night. The next day, he was like, I'm going to pick you up for church tomorrow. And I was like, this dude is not showing up. Whatever. Okay. He shows that I hear a horn honking outside of my window, and looked outside, and there's a car there. And I'm like, oh my God, it's him. We are really going to church. Did not have time to take a shower or anything. I just went, washed my face, still had makeup on, leftover eyeliner and everything. And we go to church. I'm dressed as a girl. And he's over there, just got his hands up and praising the Lord. And I'm like, what?
So you came from a Christian family. But now you go. Yeah. But this is all new to you, that you go to this church and he's praising the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking like what's going on here?
Yes. But he's praising the Lord, whatever. And so we left, and I'm like, what was all that about? And he was like, well, that church has a ministry and for gay people. And I was like, oh, okay. And so he was like, he let me know. He said, I asked him, I said, well, like, why would you want to go to a ministry for gay people? And he was like, well, they really help you and like help you find God, whatever. And then he told me like, he was trying to leave the homosexual lifestyle. But the thing with him was his mom was a crackhead. So he had to support the family. So
now let me ask you something. So when he told you that he was trying to leave the homosexual life,
mm-hmm.
What did you think at the time?
I was like, I was very open-minded. So I was like, okay.
Did you think it was possible?
I didn't really think anything. I thought, okay, because my uncle's a Baptist preacher.
Okay.
So it wasn't weird to me. I was like, interesting. And so so yes, we go there. I had this experience. I was like, so whenever anything happened in my life from that point forward, I started thinking about Jesus. I'm like, and sometimes I would pray, but I was definitely had not accepted God or anything. But and so then not too long after that, I moved back to Dallas. And whenever I went back to Dallas, a friend of mine asked me to go to church with her. And it was on Easter Sunday, and I was like, sure, we'll go to church. And so we go to church on Easter. And then whenever we're there,
But okay, hold on. Record. So you went to church with your friend. You start praying randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go back to church at some point?
No, I moved to Dallas.
So you didn't go to church until this Easter Sunday?
Yes.
Okay.
And my friend invited me to church on Easter. Everybody goes to church on Easter. Sure, I'll go. Went to church on Easter. They were doing a modern day resurrection of Christ. Like and it was like a play, but they were doing it like hip hop, R&B style. So I was really paying attention. It was kind of like watching a drag show, and I was really interested. I was like, okay, this is cool. I can do this.
Yeah. It looks like a drag show.
And so we watched this production take place. So I really listened and understood this is what God has done for me. And I felt so convicted, and I started crying, and I was like, oh my God, Jesus died on the cross. God gave his only son for me. And I have done nothing but be a whore my entire life. Because that's what I have been. And I'm a very blunt person. I tell it just like it is.
I know you
And
are.
so,
and that's why, this is what it is. You're getting what it is. That's who he is. But he is completely reformed.
Yeah.
He protects, gender defender, only two.
Gender defender, there's only two genders. Mm-hmm.
And so continue, because many people might say it's impossible.
It's not
totally
impossible.
Possible. Uh-huh.
And so then whenever I accepted Jesus that day, they gave me a Bible. I was like, okay. But then I thought, what does this mean for my life? And so I just thought I was going to be a gay Christian because I had never known any other life but that.
That's all you knew, yeah.
And all of my friends were gay, and I was so involved within the gay community and all this stuff. So, like, I just didn't see myself leaving. And mind you, I was not looking for God. I wasn't looking to change my life.
No, but
I loved my lifestyle.
But God was looking
for
you.
And so, but I was not, like, a lot of people say, well, oh, I found God. I didn't find God. God found me.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
so, because I did not, my life was not like, I was not trying to change. In fact, when I became a Christian, I was going to be a gay Christian. But they gave me that Bible, and I started reading that Bible, and then I started Googling online, like, where can I go to church service? And it was like every day I was wanting to go to a church service. And I would go to the churches and just sit on the back pew. I didn't want to meet anybody. I just wanted to go and hear about God. I would read my Bible. Then I come across the scriptures where it says homosexuality is a sin. And I was like, oh, here it is. Nobody told me this. My mother actually very much accepted me in that lifestyle. And so I started, when I was reading those scriptures, I said, okay, I guess I can't be a gay Christian. And so I started praying, and I said, God, if you are as powerful as you say you are, and you don't want me to be gay, then you are the only one with the power to take away my attractions for men and my desire to be a woman. And over time, it was not, like, the next time I went to church, there was a scripture on the screen, and it was 2 Corinthians 5:17, which it says that you're a new creation in Christ. And I said, oh my God, that's what's happening to me. I'm a new creation. And so
what you were saying, and to have those feelings and to understand that.
Yeah. And so all this stuff started happening to me that was biblical, but I didn't know because I had not read the whole Bible yet. But I would tell my friends that I had met in the church and stuff like that, and they were like, in the Bible it says right here, and it would show me scripture, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that just happened to me. And so all this stuff started happening.
Now, how did your friends take it that you were going through these
my gay
transformations?
friends?
Uh-huh.
Oh, they completely disowned me. They still to this day think that I lost my mind and that I'm crazy and that I should be committed to a mental institution because nobody could ever possibly leave the gay lifestyle.
Are you listening?
And these were people that I have known since I was 15 years old.
Let's talk about tolerance.
And they completely disowned me, blocked me, deleted me. Couple of my friends, in fact, one of my friends, I was friends with, I'm still to this day friends with her stepmom. My mom and her stepmom are best friends. We grew up together. She blocked me. She hates me. Yes. So,
the mother.
No, the daughter, the one that she was a lesbian. Me and her were best friends.
She will not forgive you because
no, and she actually went into witchcraft and all this stuff. She just totally lost it. But yeah, none of my friends. There was actually.
But you have new friends, and we all love you.
There were two people. Yes. I have two friends that I've known. One of them I've known since year 2000, so I've known him 21 years. The other one I've known for about 15 years. They're both gay. They're both like my brothers, and we both still talk, and we both hang out all the time. They don't judge me, and I don't judge them, and they know where I stand. I've talked to them about God, They still are not there. They're like, okay, I'm tired of talking about your God. So like, whatever. But I still love them and they're still my friends. So we hang out all the time. But only 2 of all the friends that I had and that I knew still talk to me. And that was really because those 2 friends saw how damaging that lifestyle was for me. And they were like, thank God you left, because we were afraid you were about to die.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
You know, all those lifestyle doesn't end well.
And I used to drink a lot. I mean, a lot.
Were you doing drugs also?
I did not do drugs. I smoked weed every now and then, but I did not do drugs. But I drank from the time I woke up until I fell out of the bar stool. I mean, like, literally.
How do you get intoxicated? Because you can get alcohol intoxication drinking that much.
Mm-hmm. I would drink like 18 drinks. It was always vodka, like 18 vodka 7s and shots and everything all night. Yeah, every day.
Okay, so you found God.
So I found God.
You decided consciously to stop being gay.
Well, I did
because
not
the
decide.
Bible. Okay, tell me, because the Bible say it was a sin. So how
I
you
prayed
decided
and asked God
okay,
to change my heart and to change the way I was thinking, and He did. It was only God. I did not do anything. If it was not for God, I would still be a prostitute. So then,
it's also because you had faith. You trusted
I mean, yeah.
God.
In
You
fact,
asked God and you trusted
in fact,
God.
right after that, I found this ministry, and it was a ministry. It was an ex-gay ministry. I hate saying that word, but that's what it was. And I went to this ministry, and we had to do an intake interview. And on the intake interview, I wrote, if you are trying to change my sexuality, it's not going to happen, and don't even try it. And they interviewed me and all this stuff, because at that point, I prayed that prayer, but I was still attracted to men, but I was learning I was a new creation.
So it was a whole process.
It was a whole long process. But when I went to that ministry, I told them I told them they were not gonna, and they said, we're not here to change you. We're not here to turn you straight. We are here to love you into a closer relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's exactly what they did. They never one time judged me. We had group therapy sessions, one time in group, because I was still like, God, I was like, I miss being a girl and dressing as a girl. And so I asked the director, I was kind of joking, but I was like, hey.
What do you ask?
Maybe we'll see what he says. And I was like, can I do drag for Jesus? Like, I will go and perform in the nightclubs and talk to the other
and come
drag
back
queens.
the next morning like nothing happened.
No, I would like talk to other drag queens about God and all. And he was like, no. And I was like, didn't think so, but I was just checking.
Well, you were trying to convert other ones. No,
yeah, I was trying to live a lifestyle of sin to convert other people away from sin. That don't work. So, anyway, so I went to that ministry. My mom begged me not to go. She was like, please do not go. Because I was very suicidal throughout my whole life. And she was like, they're going to do more harm than good, and you're going to end up killing yourself. And so, but I was like, no, I want to go, and I'm going to go. And I did. And so, whenever I went, that ministry helped me learn my true identity in Christ. And what I learned
back. So it'll lose what we have done? I hopefully not.
No, because it never disconnected.
Okay.
See, it's still live.
Okay, so we weren't like, you tried to convince where you were, your mother was very worried that you were doing this.
And I learned my true identity in Christ when I went to that ministry. And that was where they really taught me. And it was eye-opening because they taught me that just because I was feminine, just because I have a high-pitched voice, just because I'm into creative things, does not mean that I am homosexual. It does not mean that I'm transsexual. It just means that I have a sensitive personality. And because no one is born gay. And
That's very important. Tell me that, because I asked you.
Yeah.
I asked you the other day, I said, are people born gay?
No. Nobody's born gay, but nobody chooses to be gay either. It is the direct manifestation of
chose to be gay for 3 years.
Okay, we have one person that chose to be gay. If you chose to be gay, raise your hand. Yay, one person. Okay. But science
Peer pressure.
Science shows that nobody chooses to be gay.
Peer pressure.
And nobody also is born gay. There is a scientific study that there is not a gay gene. You can Google it. It's been out everywhere. I met the man who actually did the study.
Okay.
There's not a gay gene.
Okay.
And mind you, there is not a propensity to be gay. And what that means is the propensity part is like some people think, well, some people are, it's in their DNA that like their father was an alcoholic, so they could be an alcoholic. Now, what this study found was that it's as likely to be born gay as it is to be born a Christian. No one is born a Christian.
Well, you just told that's how you became a Christian.
Exactly.
How becoming a Christian changed your life.
And
exactly.
and to become a Christian, you have to choose God. And so that's how you become a Christian. You're not born a Christian. Definitely not a propensity to be a Christian. So if the study shows that the likelihood of being born gay is as much likelihood as being born Christian, what does that tell you?
So
It's
this
not
whole
likely.
thing, because people says, they say, well, you're born gay, it's genetic. There are the cases where two brothers are gay.
Because they grew up in the same home.
And we need to get to that in a second. So that doesn't exist. There is also another study that it says if the mother during the pregnancy goes through extreme stress, then the kids can be gay. Well, this was a study done on rats. So supposedly, but you have done your research. You have become an expert in the topic because you were gay and now you're not. You changed your life. Not only you were gay, you were a drag queen. You were what could be called a transgender. You were in the sex industry because of it, all of it. But you have changed your life. And here, with all the studies you have said, you have found out it's not. You are not born gay.
Yes.
You don't choose to be gay.
No.
Because I remember I have many gay friends, and I remember one dear to me that one they say, nobody chooses this life, and he told that to me with tears in his eyes, and I love him deeply, and so that's not a fact. So why are people gay? That's very important what you told me.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us why.
And so the reason why that people are gay, most likely, it's like a 99% chance that homosexuality and transsexuality is the direct manifestation of neglect and abuse in a child's life. And what I mean by neglect, I do not mean that your parents didn't feed you. I mean emotional neglect. So,
and the abuse not necessarily is sexual abuse.
It's either neglect or abuse or both.
Or both. They can be sexual abuse, but they can be, verbal abuse. They can be, it can be sexual abuse, but not necessarily.
Well, emotional emotional neglect is a form of abuse.
Exactly. And neglect is, like you were saying the other day, is like the father is there, but he's not present.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
So, yes, the neglect, when I say neglect, a lot of people are like, well, but I'm neglected because my parents fed me and whatever. No, that's not the type of neglect I'm talking about. I'm talking about emotional neglect. So, there are 3 things, and I can only speak from the male perspective because I'm a male. And so, I really only cared about, like, why do I and did I have these feelings? And so what I learned is that there are 3 things that little boys need in their life. That's attention, affirmation, and affection.
Okay, can you repeat that again?
Attention, affirmation, and affection. Now, this is scientifically proven that little boys must have attention, affirmation, and affection from another male, preferably their father or a father figure.
From a man.
Yes.
So a boy needs to have that from a man. And the father figure, preferably. Definitely.
Preferably a father figure. Or a man. Or the father, a father figure.
Or a father figure.
Yes.
But the best thing is to have that firm figure, your father to be that.
Yeah, but if you're divorced, then your mother can find you a father figure.
A father figure can be an uncle or the other husband, but they have a strong presence.
A presence in their life. Now, if the little boy does not have a father figure, and nobody's born with a sexuality, but they are born with a personality. Now, what that means is some little boys are born naturally to want to play football and go hunting and fishing and like the manly things, or what Western society in America considers to be manly things. Now, some little boys are born with more sensitive personalities, and this means that they're going to like the arts, dancing, ballet, painting, drawing, piano, playing instruments.
Like there are
music.
girls in the same way. There are girls like sports and all these type of things.
But
I can,
like I said, because I'm a male, I can only speak from the male perspective. I don't speak from the female perspective. Never do I speak from the female perspective. The only thing I know that's different between men, like homosexual men and homosexual women, is that women are usually emotionally, they have an emotional dependency. And that emotional dependency is to anybody, because they're so sensitive that they have, they depend on someone else to be there in their life.
That's your lesbian.
Lesbians, yes.
Okay.
And that's the only thing that I know. And the lesbians also need that affection from their mother.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I'm going to continue to talk about the male perspective because
that's what you know exactly.
Because I'm a man. So, so attention, affirmation, and affection. Now, you don't, and so you have to have that father figure. So what I mean is, and some gay men will say, well, my parents are married and I was never sexually abused. Well, my other question is, was your father present in your life? Yeah, he was always there at my house and everything. But was he present in your life? Well, yeah, he would sit on the recliner and watch TV all day and say hi when I walked through. So he was not
present.
Ever
he was not sharing
present in your life.
Present in the life.
He was not showing you attention, affirmation, and affection because your mother was doing that for him, most likely. So therefore, that child has a overly bonded to mother wound. And so, when you have not gotten attention, affirmation, and affection from your father, and your mother is fulfilling his role, is his God-given role, and she is giving the child she's also nurturing the child.
Yeah, you're doing the mother and the father part.
The mother and father parts. So what do you think? The child, like me, I was raised around women. I looked up.
Yeah, because
to
that's
women.
the other thing. So you have siblings,
I do have two sisters that are older than me.
and you're the baby. So
Yes.
so you were raised by women, because
Yes.
when you have older sisters, they feel they're your mommies too.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 girls and my boy, and my girls think they're the mommies of my son.
And so they still think that they're my mom, but that's another situation.
They still do.
Yeah. And so now these little boys that are sensitive. Now, okay, some rough and tumble boys that like hunting and football and fishing or whatever, and their parents are divorced and they never had a father figure, they sometimes will not turn out homosexual because they were not sensitive. They were not the sensitive personality. But a sensitive personality has to have attention, affirmation, and affection. And so, like I said, and a lot of times there's a disconnect between the father and the son. The father is a rough and tumble father. He likes to go hunting, fishing, and play football or whatever. And the son likes to dance ballet and play piano. Well, what do you think is going to happen whenever the father says, "Hey, let's go hunting"?
And it's so sexy.
The son's like, "No, I want to go play the piano," or I'd rather go dancing. And so then the father's like, "Oh, you can't do that. You want to do ballet? You can't do that. That's for girls." And to tell your child that is the worst thing you can ever do in that child's life. If you tell a child that says they want to do something that is considered female in Western society, in Europe, these things are normal most of the time. It's not like what Western civilization is different. And so that little boy, when you tell him that, he feels indifferent. And he feels like, oh my God, like there must be something wrong with me. I want to dance. I don't want to go.
No, especially coming from your father, that comment.
Yeah.
When, through life, as a kid, you want to be accepted and reaffirmed and by your parents, your mother and your father, and you want that reassurance. So if you say that and your father responds like that, so that breaks a kid heart and personality, and just degenerate in what now, which now I'm learning with you, because I thought that probably they were born like that, but you just told me you're not born like that.
No. And so when this child he's wounded in this way. So let me go back a little bit. So if a father has a son that says, "I want to dance ballet," you don't say that's for girls. What the father should say, the proper response is, "Well, you know what? We're going to enroll you in ballet, and you're going to be a whole lot better than I am, but I'm going to take ballet with you." And then when that father shows up to take ballet with you, the little kid is now going to think, there's something wrong with me. This is totally fine, the fact that I'm male and like ballet. The father is there taking ballet with him. He's giving him attention. He's giving him affirmation. And he's giving him affection because he's actually there showing up. So the little kid is thinking, oh, my father loves me.
Yes.
And he doesn't care.
And that's all a kid needs.
Yeah.
To feel loved by their parents.
Well, it's like, and we are born to desire one thing, and one thing is to desire to be loved. Yes. Every human being that lives wants to be loved. Everybody.
Yes.
And a lot of people in the gay community do not feel loved. A lot of them have been molested. And so I always say...
So you agree with this, because the other day, I said something in my podcast and they attacked me. And so do you agree with the fact that most gay people were abused, whether it was by negligence or that they were abused because they were raped, they were, sexually abused either by the father or somebody, usually somebody close within the family.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, I was in that lifestyle for over 20 years. 90% of my friends, their parents were divorced. They did not talk to their fathers.
Oh.
And and so that was the majority. Now, if they did talk to their father, he was never present in their life.
Yeah, because you can be there, but you're not there.
And now
you're just sitting there. You're another chair. You're another table.
What happens a lot of times is these fathers are not in the child's life, but then when the child comes out of the closet and they start living this gay life and they're older, their father will be like, you know what, I'm going to accept my child. So the father and the mother are both there, but they weren't there when they were kids. Whenever it mattered.
It was very important.
In their developmental stages of their life.
So you agree that kids, boys and girls, they need a mother and a father.
Yes.
They need both for their development.
God designed it that way. He designed women with a nurturing, a natural they're nurturers.
We're nurturers, yeah.
And the men are typically the disciplinary ones that are the man. The man is the head of the house.
Yes.
They're over like the finances and the income and all this stuff. And so like if the kid gets in trouble, they get in trouble by their father. Like, I'm going to tell your dad you did this. And so then you're like, oh my God, please don't tell my father. And she does. And then you get a whooping. Like, that's typically what happens.
Well, that happened when we were growing up. Nobody gets whipped anymore.
No, but the Bible says, what does the Bible say? You know what the Bible says about this? The Bible says to definitely whip your child.
Yeah, but remember,
spare the rod and spoil the child.
And I agree with you, but the psychologists nowadays have taken away that authority from the parents.
They're demonic and they don't believe in Jesus.
Exactly. But let me tell you, yes, I got whipped. And let me tell you the few times it was not that. I remember I deserved it. And when I remember when it happened with my seniors, they deserved it. Mm-hmm. And we're okay. We're responsible people. We're successful people. And my father was the best father and my mother was the best mother. But my father was just like you said. He was the father figure, the authoritarian figure. But we loved him to pieces and we felt loved by him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so important.
Yeah. And so, yes. And so now you have this broken child who was molested or not molested, but neglected. And that child grows up. He looks because he still needs that attention, affirmation, and affection. So he will never not need that.
Yeah.
So he goes and looks for somebody to fulfill it. And he finds that in another broken man in the same way. And so they become friends. And they're fulfilling these voids in their hearts, in their lives. And they are loving each other and becoming emotionally dependent on each other.
But there is a reason you just said. So they're missing this from the father.
Mm-hmm.
So they go look for another man to replace that what they're missing for the father.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reality of homosexuality. Is they're looking for another man to give what the father didn't give, and that's how the whole thing happened. It's it's very important.
Well, there's more, and I'm going to get to what else is included.
Okay, yes, because
you
just
this is all scientific. This is not made up. And so then whenever so like I said, they go and look for another broken person in that same way. Now these two broken men are fulfilling these voids. These relationships usually start out being healthy relationships, not sexual at all. And they never want them to be. But then what happens? So this little boy already feels less than. He does not feel like he's good enough. He does not feel like he even looks good enough because he's usually a little bit feminine, and he feels like that all the other men, all the other boys are superior to him, and he wishes he could be them. And a lot of gay people, they're like, whenever they look at men when they're young in their formative years, they look at them in a way like, I wish I had his body. I wish I was as masculine as he is. I wish that I walked like he does, or whatever. So they're admiring these people, these men, because they don't feel like that they are
As
equal to them.
Exactly.
And so then, it's scientifically proven, they're going to start thinking about this guy when they become age and they masturbate. This is scientific.
Okay.
This was taught to me in a church.
In a church.
Yes.
So this is when all your
By my
reformed part.
director.
Okay.
He was my mentor. Whenever that little boy masturbates the first time and he has an orgasm, and he's usually thinking about, God, I wish I could be like that guy I saw in gym today with his shirt off. I wish my body looked like his.
Okay.
And so then a trigger goes off in their head,
Mm-hmm.
in their brain,
Uh-huh.
and whatever you orgasm to, the very first time you orgasm, you will be attracted to that for the rest of your life.
Okay. Wow.
And so
that sets everything up.
yeah. And
Wow.
so then they live this life of homosexuality, and they're broken, and they just want to be loved. They just want to be accepted. They just want for people to see them the same way they see everybody else. And they really just want to be normal at the end of the day, a normal person. So that's why no one chooses to be gay.
When you're there.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm just saying nobody. I hate it when people say, "Oh, well, that they choose to be gay." A lot of religious people say this. No, they did not. Nobody would choose that life. Nobody. If they do choose that life, and there's very rare cases, it's because they're mad at men, or the girl's mad at men, and she's like, "Forget this, I'm gonna be a lesbian now," or the man is mad at women and was like, "I'm gonna go try to be." Nowadays it's normal. It's been normalized, so it's not even. It's not even a thing. It's not even taboo anymore. It's just normal. Well, and so they're like, I'm gonna go try and see what it's like.
But because it's social propaganda, and we have talked about it, and you have gone to the school boards.
And that's a whole other show.
Exactly, against the propaganda, and what happened is the propaganda. It's just to make it normal. There is a propaganda to make it normal when now there is all these issues behind it of neglect and abuse on the children, and which we as a society, we need to see this in the eyes and realize that the fathers or the mothers are not doing the right job, and that's why we have this problem. And we should take it slower, because probably we're living in this fast life, and dedicate much time and quality time to our children, because that's what matters, and that's how we solve all these problems or avoid these problems.
Yes. And so that's how homosexuality happens in a child's life.
But now you are not an homosexual.
So I tell everybody this, because we are all born with something that we struggle with. Everybody has a struggle. Whether it be gossiping, which is a sin.
Yeah.
Whether it be drinking too much. Whether it be like drugs. Some people struggle, like they become a Christian, but then they struggle with drugs because they had a drug addiction. And or they had an alcohol addiction or whatever. Some people struggle with anger problems and hate and things like that. That's a sin. And so I know hundreds of former homosexuals. And we say former homosexual because we no longer identify as homosexual or any of the LGBT letters. That's not what we identify it as in our brain. We identify as men of God first, and that is who we are. Now, do I still have same-sex attractions? Yes. Do most of these people that have left the homosexual lifestyle, it is something that they struggle with, same-sex attractions, just like some people struggle with drugs or alcohol or whatever.
Exactly.
I act on same-sex attractions? No, I do not. And is the same-sex attraction so strong of an attraction that it's like taking over my life? No. When I say I have same-sex attraction, sometimes it's like if there's a man jogging down the road with his shirt off and I'm driving down the road, I might glance and be like, oh, he's hot. Which I'm really thinking,
yeah,
I wish I looked like he does.
Well, but even women, we do that.
Well, yes, but it's not normal for men to do that. And so, yes, do I have same-sex attraction still? Yeah. But like I said, it's not overtaken my life. Do I have a desire to get married and have children? Absolutely. But
before you get there, I have a question. So, do you like girls?
I'm getting there. So do I look at women and be like, and lust after them? Because lust is a sin. God says in the Bible, if you lust with your heart, you might as well have had sex with the person.
Oh.
If you have lust in your heart, you might as well go ahead and have sex with them. Because in God's eyes, you already have. And so, because lust is a sin. And so that in the Old Testament, it said, do not have sex. In the New Testament, it says, Jesus died on the cross, and he called us to an even higher place now. And he says, you know what? Don't have sex before marriage. That's what he said before. Now he says, don't have sex before marriage. And in fact, don't even lust after someone.
Okay.
Because if you do, you're committing sin.
You're already sin. It's as
yes.
good as that.
And so, do I lust after women? No, I do not. Do I look at women and say, oh, she's got big boobs? Now, this is what most heterosexual men do. Like, ooh, she's hot. I want to jump her bones or something like weird. And I'm like, no, I don't look at girls like that. Do I look at women in a way that's like, I really like her personality and she's fun to be around and I could see myself with her for the rest of my life because I like her personality, and I could still see my life because whenever I look for, I don't look at people now in a sexual way. I look at for a life partner. So if I'm going to even go on a date with somebody, it's because I am expecting to marry you. So I'm not going to date. I'm looking for a wife.
Well, don't we all girls would love for men to look at us that way?
Yes, exactly. So I make the best husband because I can do hair and makeup. And so you're going to always be pretty. You're going to always be on point.
Oh my God, that's such a great package.
I am going to love you for who you are and not what you look like.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for saying it, because right now there is, like we said, social propaganda. And if you said anything about it that we don't want the propaganda, please don't brainwash our children. We get attacked. I imagine now you get attacked because now you're a conservative. Now you're talking like you're talking. And it's not right, because now we feel we're pushing a corner. And talking with you, realize that people are not born like that. It is possible for people to change their life. And I would love for everybody that want, because you have to want to change your life. Or like it happened to you, it was God called you to it, to be able to change their life. Because I remember, and when people tell me, they say, I have many gay friends and I love them to pieces. And I remember one of my gay friends, when they said, you don't get cured from this, because if there is a cure for this, he told me and said, I want to get cured. he said, it's not fun to be gay. And he told me this. So I wish that everybody finds the way, like you did, to rebuild and reform and transform their life.
Well, there's only one way to lead that lifestyle, and it's through Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And so I'm not here to say that you can find a cure, because the only cure is through Jesus Christ. And you should not go to Jesus. You should not go to Jesus and try to live your life for Jesus because you want him to take away homosexuality. You should live a life for Jesus because you love Jesus, and then he will do the rest. He will convict your heart. The Holy Spirit will take over your life, and your life, you will live for God. And so that's what's the most important thing, is not for you to leave homosexuality. It's for you to have a closer relationship with Jesus. And so I do not hate gay people. In fact,
no, nobody does.
I love gay people, and I love gay people so much that I am very protective of the LGBT community. You're not going to condemn the LGBT community when I'm around. You're not going to ridicule them or make fun of them because I love them. Now, when I say the LGBT community, there's a difference between the LGBT community and the LGBT radical activist. The radical activist
is the one that attacked us.
Yes, I don't.
Is the one that have an agenda.
Those people.
Don't you agree that those people are actually using the LGBT community to advance their agenda
Absolutely.
that have nothing to do with the rights of the gay community?
No. Yes. So I don't, like, a lot of my gay friends and a lot of gay people think that, oh, I'm homophobic, or like, how can I be homophobic whenever I was.
Hello. One of them, exactly.
So that's stupid. But they think I hate gay people. I don't hate gay people. I love gay people. I love them. I mean, I love them so much. I used to go to every gay pride parade in Texas and pass out water and snacks and say, hey, can I pray for you about anything?
Yeah.
Just to love them and let them know that, yes, I'm a Christian and I love you and I accept you and Jesus accepts you just the way you are. And whenever you have a relationship with him, your life will be transformed. So that's what it's about. So anybody that says that I hate gay people, you're a liar. That is a lie from the pit of hell, and that is not true.
I have one last question, and we need to go because we're being almost 2 hours. Are you happy?
Absolutely.
That's what matters.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So this is Kevin Witt. He shared his whole story from the get-go and how he transformed his life. He's happy and he's looking for somebody to love you. And I hope you find it.
Well, I'm on a diet because I've gained.
I've been working on it because I've been watching.
I've gained 100 pounds because now, obviously, whenever I was talking about how I used to be a sex worker, I was obviously not looking like this. I gained 100 pounds on purpose so that I would not be tempted to go back to that life. And I was really trying to hide from my trauma and go deep within myself because I didn't want to be noticed anymore. And so, but now I'm over all that and I'm like, hey, I got to lose weight because I am a pro-family activist now. I live my life and I've dedicated my life to being a pro-family activist and to standing up for children that are being indoctrinated by the LGBT community and groomed. And I stand up against Drag Queen Story Hour and pediatric gender transition and all this stuff. And we need more people to stand up for this because this is not okay. If you transition a child at 5 years old to the opposite gender, that is child abuse. And if you say it's not, you're a liar. And so I have dedicated, the LGBT activists have destroyed my life. They have come at me full force. I lost my full business. I was a hairstylist, very successful. I completely lost my business. I have lost everything. I've had to move twice because I've gotten death threats. I had activists show up at my house with the gun and tell me to come outside.
Who believes that?
And
Yes,
they
it's
have,
not right.
they're trying to shut me up and scare me and like, hey, he'll shut up one day. I ain't shutting up. I'm only getting started. And in fact, I have the Whitt project that I've just created. If you go to Whitt Project, my logo is right here. If you go to whittproject.com, WHITT.com, I have my merchandise there. Please buy a Gender Defender shirt. Or I have a shirt that says Homo Nomo, because that's what I am. And I have plenty of other shirts. Got like 15 on there. So support. I don't get paid for this.
No, you're.
I do this.
He's an activist.
Yeah. I live my life off of people and the people who believe in me and support me and send me support. And that's what I live off of. So if you buy my merchandise, you will be helping me and my cause. So, and if you care about kids and you want to join my organization, you can subscribe to my my newsletter and just say, send me, and then I'll contact you and let me know. But
yeah, and you see here always through my page, we always get together in different events, that we work towards conservative, values. It's what we do, and I love that you're defending the family and the children, because we are under attack.
Yes.
And like you, I'm worried about the future of our children and what's going to happen with this world. So I'm glad that you shared your story, because it's important for people to see that it's possible, because many people, there is, as I said, once you go that line, you never come back.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible to come back. Here is proof. Kevin Witt is a living proof that it's possible. So, well, good night. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this true story. And I'm going to have another interview with another story that is also gets to your heart. Is Jessica, that also she was a sexual worker, and how she turned her life around. Again, she's working. She's a conservative activist.
Mm-hmm.
So good night, and thank you very much.